Pick up your gear and open your chests. Throw on your armor and head out on a quest. Hey, hey, it's a brand new day. On the Sword Coast, your allies will help with blades and bows and magic as well. Hey, hey, heroes on their way. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, did you want them? Idle champions, you will say it again. Idle champions. From Waterdeep to Icewind, head out to Chull or Shadowfell, hey, hey. Together we stay. Walk to the monsters, walk to the boss, walk to the right, it's never a loss, hey, hey. Bad guys to slay. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, did you want them? Idle champions, you will say it again. Idle champions.
Oh, is that my cue? I think it is. I think it is. Welcome, everybody, to Gaarawarr's Guide, the tutorial show. I'm the person in the title. Today's topic is going to be Dungeon Masters Champions of Renown. This is a pack that's going to be a giveaway exclusive to Steam. So specifically what we're talking about is going to be a thing that Steam users are going to get for free, but everybody has the access to these champions in game to be able to unlock them. So we're going to cover these 5 champions today. First off, though, I got to prepare myself for this. A dramatic reading. Joining me today on stream, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mod Pod number 5. A little bit of Mars Mod in my life. A little bit of Gabe Mod by his side. Mod Pod number 5. So, Mars and Gabe will be grabbing your questions from chat and putting them into a document that I can see right here, because the way this show works is I talk for like the first hour, and you feel free, please, ask questions. They will grab those questions. I'll put them in the document. I'll get to them in the second half of the show. That way, my addled brain doesn't get thrown off on tangents, and we can get all the way through the content first. So yeah, fire away. Just remember to put the question : in front of your stuff. And they'll grab them. Okay, so we're going to dive right in. And this is, I'm going to just warn you up front, this is going to be an interesting version of the tutorial show, because if you don't know already, Season 2 has just wrapped. If you didn't know that, have you been away for a while? Season 2 is just wrapped. Season 3, though, is on the way. Season 3 going to be called Ancients and Lawbringers. And it is going to feature 3 of the champions we're talking about today, which means 3 of the champions we're talking about today are getting some adjustments. So we won't talk in full about every champion you see on the field at the moment. Three of them, we'll talk about them, and we'll talk about how they're going to be changing. So you get a little bit of a preview. Unfortunately, I can't demonstrate that, but it will be live in game soon enough. Very soon. I think Wednesday, March 8th, for anybody watching this on VOD. So here's what's going on. Again, this is the Dungeon Masters Champions of Renown are a Steam exclusive. You get it just by logging in starting March 8th, probably noon Pacifically, through March 15th. As long as you log in on Steam, you're going to unlock the following things. Spurt, Dungeon Master, Freely, Birdsong, and Barrowin. For each of those champions, you will get 16 gold chests for that champion with two guaranteed shiny cards in each of those sets. So that's a total of 80 gold chests and 10 shinies, equally distributed amongst all 5 of them. You will get an exclusive familiar called a Quickling. The Quickling. And an epic potion of the Gem Hunter and an epic potion of the Gold Hunter. Those are the week-long potions. One for more gems, one for more gold. Nice. Oh, you clipped it, huh? Great. Great. So yeah, that's what's going to be in the giveaway on Steam. Again, this is Steam only. There's no cross-platform switching. No, you can't change from something to Steam. That's not how this works. But they do these types of giveaways. They try to distribute them around platforms as best as the platforms will allow. Remember, they are always limited by what the platforms will let them do. I know it sounds odd, but some platforms don't like to give free stuff out. Now, the Quickling Familiar, in the past when they've done those familiars have ended up in the gem shop, but it's taken like 3 to 6 months. I can only estimate that might be what's gonna happen this time. I don't know for sure. I was not told that information. So let's talk about these. Let's talk about these champions. Let's start with your favorite, my favorite, everybody's favorite. Spurt. That's true, right? Spurt, 11 days old. 11 days! Estimate. It's not necessarily inaccurate. It's just maybe that's as high as Spurt could count. I think we all know this. Spurt comes to us from Critical Role. Spurt was played. It was a guest appearance by none other than Chris Perkins. Chris Perkins. Spurt was maybe on the show for 30 minutes or so. Shortest guest run in Critical Role history, I think, and it was fantastic. Spurt is a Kobold Inventor, which gets played out as a rogue here. They are full support, lawful evil. Unaffiliated. Spurt does some swippy swappy stuff. That's the way I like to refer to it. Spurt likes to be dead most of the time, which is a canon thing. It's a story thing. You should. There's clips and animatics and stuff online. You can search it. It's great. Basic attack, ranged attack, wasp nest. Spurt tosses a wasp nest at a random enemy, dealing damage. Oh, Chris Perkins. First ability, Centipede Net. This increases the damage of adjacent champions. So that means you want to put Spurt right next to your DPS so they can get buffed. Waspiration is the next ability, and I have to say this is the ability that's getting a bit of a tweak apparently in the rework coming soon. Coming to an Idle Champions near you, March 8th. It is my understanding that's what's being slightly adjusted. Yes. So, we will see. I want to tell you kind of how it works, but it's going to just know it's going to get a little bit of a change to make it better. So Waspiration, whenever Spurt attacks an enemy, wasps swarm that enemy until they're killed. So they just kind of hover around the enemy until the enemy dies. When 4 wasped enemies are killed, so every time you kill 4 of them, Spurt invents a random effect that's going to buff the party for 60 seconds. Each effect can stack up to 5 times, with each stack expiring separately. Now, this sounds weird that Spurt's going to be doing this, and there can be different effects, and it can stack, but there's a reason. We'll come back to it in a bit. There are ways to get more stacks out there. Heroic Sacrifice is kind of the big part of Spurt's kit, and what makes Spurt weird. Keep Spurt weird. This unlocks Spurt's ultimate attack. When you use the ultimate attack, he becomes Spurt's spirit until his ultimate attack is 10 seconds from cooling down. While he's a spirit, he increases the party's damage and buffs his other formation abilities in unique ways. So, along with everything that these abilities say right now, they get a bonus when he's a spirit. When he's a spirit, he counts as dead. This is helpful for champions like Desmond, who buff the party based off dead people in the formation. So Spurt's a big combo with that. The next, we'll come back to that when we go to hit the ultimate in a bit. Next up, Pack Tactics. This increases the damage of all champions by 1% for every kobold in the formation, including Spurt. Pretty straightforward. Spurt likes to hang out with other kobolds. It says small amount, so it's not necessarily something you build a formation, or you have to build a formation around. It's just kind of treat it like a bonus that you get. Specializations currently, I think they're adding one to this. The current setup is Centipult and Kobold Family. Centipult makes it so Centipede now also applies to champions 2 slots away from Spurt. So this allows you to be a little more flexible with your placement in the formation. It also allows for some synergies with Artemis, who likes to see these types of positional formation abilities on lots of different champions, and this obviously spreads that around a lot. The other one that we currently know of is Kobold Family. This increases the effective pack tactics. There is apparently going to be one, maybe something that allows unaffiliated non-Kobold champions to count as Kobolds for the purpose of pack tactics. Which sounds like that means Spurt's just getting better. I like that. I like that. So these are your options. We're going to go ahead and just go with tactics. We're going to buff tactics. Not Tic Tacs. Tactics. Tactics. Well, that's it. That's straightforward for Spurt. Ultimate. You dead. Spurt tosses a wasp nest at a stalking giant, and then is immediately killed by a giant hammer. As happens. Which damages all enemies on the screen. Spurt then comes back as a spirit, increasing the effect of his abilities until he revives. Now, Spurt is kind of unique in that you want... their itemization, we'll talk about in a moment. Instead of getting a cooldown reduction item for their ultimate, they get a cooldown increase item because you want Spurt dead as long as possible. As long as possible. You want Spurt dead all the time. So here's what it looks like, folks, and it's arguably one of the best animations in the game. You dead. Thunk. And now we have a spirit. So this is Spirit Spurt. It's kind of easy to notice that he's in spirit form. Yeah. Now they count as dead. Now they no longer attack. Now, as you'll note, their base attack says they don't attack. They're now no longer a ranged attacker, which is a problem for Solok formations. I believe the devs were asked on Dev Insights if they could just get Spurt to keep the ranged default base attack notification for Solok. I think that said they were open to that, so that may be an addition we see coming March 8th as well. But now you can see that the abilities have been changed a little bit. So now Centipede Net is buffed by an additional 10% every 10 seconds, up to 30 stacks, so 300 seconds. That's 5 minutes, folks. While Spurt is a spirit, so you want to, one of the things you're looking to do is get Spurt's ultimate cooldown up to 5 minutes. Mine's over 5 minutes. Well, it was. As you can see, it's over 300 seconds, so I can get my Spurt to maximum. The time I have after that, he is spent at max stacks, so I still want to keep increasing my Spurt's ultimate duration, because that just gives me a longer time in that sweet spot, right? Okay. So, Waspiration champions adjacent to Spurt also generate wasp swarms now. So, in this kind of situation, you really want Spurt around a bunch of people, or in the middle of a bunch of people, because now all 4 of these people will be throwing wasps. This is how you get lots of Waspiration stacks. Lots and lots and lots of Waspiration stacks. Is having them surrounded by people who are going to be throwing wasps out, since they aren't anymore. So that's the new kind of formation building queue you get. You still want them adjacent or within 2, depending on what spec choice of your DPS. But you also want them hopefully next to lots of people, especially fast attackers, to spread those wasps and those wasp effects. Now, again, those are going to be changing, so we're not going to go over those today. Pack Tactics, buffed by an extra 100% per every other kobold in the formation, while Spurt is a spirit, so it just gets better. It just gets better. Yeah, Spurt is, this is blue glowy Spurt. When you strike him down, he becomes more powerful than you could possibly imagine. Thank you, Buddy Peace. He really does. This is a fully operational battle station now in Spurt. Item-wise, we get to see a pair of Damage All Champions items. It's pure support. That's normal. Centipede Net item and a Pack Tactics item, so you can buff the things that matter. Ultimate attack damage, because it's a giant hammer, of course. And then again, increases. This is the only one in the game that increases the cooldown on their ultimate. So, also the only slot 6 ultimate item that doesn't have a cap. It should just keep going forever. Yeah. Feat-wise, lots of them. Damage All Champions, a bunch of Centipede Net. We got a Pack Tactics. We've got stat feats. So here's the thing with the stat feats. Constitution, it's Vajra time. Should be, wait. No, this is Vajra time. Constitution 2 is Vajra time. This one is, who knows? It might be a variant somewhere that needs like Con 13. I don't know. But the Con 2 is the Vajra time. So help them qualify for more staff. That Spurt, I'm going to now throw Spurt in my favorite skin, the Beekeeper Spurt. I don't know why they're now alive. That's an interesting bug. Did it take away? Hold on. Nope, still counting them as dead. They're just yeah, okay. That's an interesting bug. All right, next up, Dungeon Master. If you're like me, and I know I am, you're old enough to remember the D&D cartoons with Dungeon Master. That's where Dungeon Master comes from. Dungeon Master was the 100th champion in Idle Champions. They went all out. They brought back something from the Wayback Machine and made Dungeon Master a very special. So Dungeon Master, human wizard, age over 1,000. As you'll note, only champion to have question marks for all of their stats. Mars can correct me. I believe behind the scenes, their stats are all like 18? but just for for interaction purposes. But it's question marks because they're the dungeon master. Healing, support, and gold. Lawful good. Lawful good. So Dungeon Master was the first champion, if I remember right, to have a level 0 effect. We're seeing that on more champions now. Level 0 basically means it kicks in even when they're when you haven't leveled them up. So Dungeon Master rules. Dungeon Master is eligible to start in all adventures, even if the patron, variant, or other restrictions would stay otherwise. So this means Dungeon Master goes where he pleases. It doesn't matter what restriction is on a variant. If it says, hey, no one that's good, only evil champions, Dungeon Master's all like, well, I'm here anyway. Hi. How are you? Yeah. Now, it does mean that, like it says, it's eligible to start. If there are things that happen in a variant that remove a champion, like in, say, split the party, which, lots of people are familiar with, where champions get removed at certain points, the Dungeon Master is eligible to be removed. They are just eligible to start in all adventures, so you still have to play that game with them. All right, Patience Young One's next ability. Dungeon Master increases damage of all champions by 100% for each champion in the formation that is 20 years or younger, stacking multiplicatively. So, if there are younger champs in the formation, you're going to get a multiplicatively stacking buff. That's the good way. If the sum of the 6 youngest champions' ages is 100 years or less, the bonus is increased by 400%. But post-stack, because pre-stack, that would be ridiculous, folks. Come on. Post-stack. So yeah, Dungeon Master arrived and got us really excited that, maybe we're getting all of the kids from the TV show, but we haven't. And I don't know that if we are or not. So just know that there are a handful of younger champions in the game, and Dungeon Master works well with them. Words of encouragement. Dungeon Master adds temporary hit points to the entire party upon entering an area when Dungeon Master is present. That means in the formation. We'll understand the next ability is going to talk about what that means. But yeah, that's where we're getting this temp HP shield. So they're a full party temp HP shielder. It's just that they only throw out that shield as you enter a new area and only if they're present in the formation. That may not be the case, right? So just know I like Dungeon Master in places where variants where you're variants where you're taking damage constantly. I like full party shielders. Dungeon Master helps with that. So keep Dungeon Master in mind for that. Disappearing Act. Upon entering a new area, there's a 50% chance that Dungeon Master doesn't appear in the formation. Is instead replaced by a frightened Uni the Unicorn. While Dungeon Master is away, the formation's gold find is buffed. And if you return to a previously completed area, Dungeon Master is always with the formation. So Dungeon Master's here right now, but when we move to a new area, there's a chance that we won't have Dungeon Master. We'll instead have Uni the Unicorn. Oh my god, the game did what I needed it to do. Mark this down, folks. Cheers. That's a first. All right. So instead, we get Uni the Unicorn. So now we have more gold find. And now ultimate. Here's kind of if you're thinking like, well, Dungeon Master seems okay. Like, but what if there aren't a lot of young champs in the game, what's going on with Dungeon Master? Here's what's going on with Dungeon Master, folks. When you get to their specialization. Because Dungeon Master can go anywhere, I can't show you what it looks like right now because this isn't a variant where we're restricted. Dungeon Master has a third specialization. And that third specialization picks a random champion from champions that are not allowed in the current adventure. And you can select it and bring that champion in. So Special guest star. They get little stars on their portrait. You can choose them and bring them in. So say I'm doing something that doesn't allow evil champions at all. Well, Dungeon Master will look at the list of evil champions and it'll look to see, like, is there a slot where there's no champions available at all because they're all evil? And it will prioritize that slot. But if it's not, it's just going to pick a random evil champion and allow you to bring it in and level it up. Now, if you ever remove Dungeon Master from the formation, that champion goes with them. They are hand in hand in that regard. But that is the actual power of Dungeon Master. So a lot of times when you're doing really restrictive variants, what I'll do is I'll throw Dungeon Master in, I'll level them up to 100, and I'll be like, who can you bring in? And then I decide, is that somebody I want or not? If whoever they can bring in would be a powerful addition to my formation, let's go. Right? Let's tag them in. Let's level up them and Dungeon Master and go for it. Otherwise, I just kind of throw them out. I'm just like, well, thanks for stopping by, Dungeon Master, and I'll go with somebody else. Because currently, just Dungeon Master on their own, unless you need the aforementioned full party shields, isn't necessarily going to be the strength that you might be looking for out of slot 6. So the other specializations, where did he go this time versus Fear Not champions? This changes how often he disappears. So where did he go this time increases the disappearance rate to 75% of the time, and the gold find amount is doubled. So if you want more gold find, you want uni in the formation more often, you go with the left spec. Right spec means that he only disappears 25% of the time, and it doubles the shields. So I tend to go, like I said, if I'm using them, I tend to go with the double shield thing. If you're a newer player with Dungeon Master, early on, extra gold find can be a big deal. So the gold find spec might help because you can level up your champions more when you have twice as much gold, and that leveling them up gets you lots of power, right? So different choices based off where you are and what you need. Invigorate. The ultimate attack is pretty fantastic. In fact, I'm going to leave it on right here because there's a cool interaction that happens here. So as we can see, we get the cowering Uni the Unicorn. Uni's pretty scared, but Dungeon Master isn't on screen. So how are they going to cast their ultimate? Their ultimate is called Invigorate. Dungeon Master waves his hands, and the ultimate ability with the longest remaining cooldown immediately recharges. The cooldown for this ultimate is set to the time the recharged ultimate had left. Dungeon Master increases the damage of all champions of the formation for half of the time his ultimate is cooling down. So you get a damage increase for an indeterminate amount of time because it's based off the cooldown time of that ultimate. I don't know that we've ever been told how much the damage increases either. Mars, maybe we should figure that out, find that out. Did you ever ask? I never asked. We should probably ask. Because it's not listed anywhere. All right. Anyway, here's what's going to happen. Keep your eyes on the left side of the screen. It's slightly obscured, but we're going to have a little guest. I'm going to go ahead and kill Spurt off here. And then we're going to invigorate their ultimate. Watch the left side of the screen. Little Dungeon Master goes, hi, waves, resets the ultimate, and we're back again. I love that. I love that they just they're like, well, Dungeon Master waves his hands, and they're just like, hey, waves. I love that part. It's a little thing sometimes, folks. All right, so that's how it works. It's great if you want like to double up something, or if you just need, if you fired something, it was an instant and you want it back again right away. Boom. It's great for manual play. It's also like if you're trying to fire off X number of ultimates in a period of time with familiars, you can just park them on both and it's just going to reset regularly. Yeah. Yep, it's neat. It's neat. That's Dungeon Master, though. Item-wise, damage all champions items. You get Patience Young One's item. Words of Encouragement, that's the temp HP shield, so that's nice. Increases the effect of Dungeon Master's Disappearing Act, so depending on... this is the gold find, so you can get a gold. This is the gold find item. So if you have a uni in the formation, you get a bunch of gold find, right? And then increases the effect of Dungeon Master's Invigorate ability. We don't know what the effect actually is, but this increases it. That's nice, right? So yeah, Dungeon Master, interesting champion, neat. Fun to have in the formation. We still have some questions about what's going on. There's an Arch Magi skin. I'm going to rock that. You'll see it. It's pretty cool. Putting them back in the skins that I prefer. All right. Moving forward. Again, this is Dungeon Master's Champions of Renown. So Dungeon Master is kind of leading off this pack. Freely, the luckiest boy. Freely is a halfling, bard, warlock, and other things. In this game, just bard, warlock, but in the Heroes of the Plains, which is their affiliation, the Heroes of the Plains Streamiverse, Freely is a multi-classer extraordinaire. I think they have like 4 or 5 classes. Neutral good, support and gold find. Base attack is Eldritch Blast. Their beam is Aquamarine. Magic attack. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put, if I can't, I need my pirate Freely. There we go. Pirate skins, gotta love them. Freely is... I don't often say this about slots. In my opinion, Freely's strongest champion in this slot. Freely's got a lot of other champions in this slot. They do a lot of neat things, but Freely's got some multiplicative madness going on that makes him real strong. First up, Adventurous Tale. For each area completed with Freely in the formation, gain a very small % bonus to the divine favor you earn when you complete your adventure. So this is the only one of these bonuses in the game. You're literally getting a bonus to favor, so the favor completion. Based off how many areas you had Freely in for. So Freely, this tells you right away, you want Freely in and level 10 as soon as possible to maximize the number of areas you're going to get that's going to multiply by the bonus. Now, this bonus goes up a little as you level, but not much, because it's meant to be this big thing. There's things that can modify it, but when we come over here, you'll see now... There's the big number, but then there's this bonus number. This is Freely's bonus. I want to be clear. As long as Freely was in when you completed the area, you get credit. Like we're gonna get this. We're gonna get credit. I'm gonna take Freely out. I'm gonna click back over here. The bonus is still there because I earned it. This is the only kind of effect in the game that works while the character's benched, because it's about an earned bonus that you already stacked up and remains and affects your run. Now, that being said, Freely's the kind of champion you put in at the beginning, keep in the entire time, because they're real strong. And even in a Azaka farm, they're solid in a Azaka farm, so... just know you want them in as soon as possible. You want to earn that bonus. You can track that bonus over here. See, I've done 46 levels with Freely. And you get multipliers, and now the total bonus is 5%, right? So there's ways to boost the number, but keep Freely in as much as possible. All right. Luck of Yandala. Still, after all this time, grants the Luck of Yandala to this champion. Thanks, Codename Entertainment. That explains everything. One day, this will actually explain the ability. Until then, click on the Formation Buffs tab, where it tells you what's going on. This should be on the other screen. Grants the Luck of Yandala to this champion. Each champion that attacks with the Luck of Yandala applies a random lucky break to enemies they hit for 15 seconds. So this is a random effect from this list. There are 4 effects. The effect can last 15 seconds, and they can stack. Now it does say that Freely is the only one that gets Luck of Yandala, but I'm just going to spoiler this. Freely's specialization allows you to spread the Luck of Yandala through your formation. So lots of champions can get the Luck of Yandala. It's great to have fast attackers. It's great to boost attack speed and spread these effects around because they stack. And 2 of the 4 stack multiplicatively. That's the good way. So, first one up, Opportunity. The target takes more damage, 100% more damage per application. This is a multiplicative stacking one. This is what makes Freely fantastic for deep pushing. The total effect is increased by an additional amount as you level them up. Okay, so the more stacks you get, the bigger the debuff the enemy has. This is a debuff on the enemy. Requisition. The target drops 1% more gold per application. This also stacks multiplicatively. This is what makes Freely strong in Azaka farming as well. Follow through. Any champion who attacks the target will have their next base attack cooldown reduced by 0.1 second per application. So this is just some attack speed boost. It's minor, but when you're talking about a champion who's helping people spread debuffs, it's nice. Stagger. The target has 2% per application chance of being stunned when they're attacked by any champion. So it's a very small chance of being stunned. I do want to point out, while there are these identifiers, cornucopia, fruit, border, shield, these are visual identifiers on an enemy that create a picture. There's the border, there's a cornucopia, there's some fruit coming out, there's the shield, they layer. It only tells you that there is a single stack on there. It doesn't tell you how many stacks, which is unfortunate, because it would be nice to know when you're looking at multiples, right? But so there isn't really a good visual way to know how many stacks you have. That means Freely kind of has a bit of an invisible amount of power. So a lot of people look at Freely and they're like, well, none of this sounds very strong. The strength comes in the fact that it's multiplicatively stacking. So you just kind of have to know that it's possible and know that this is what's going to happen. You can see it when you put Freely in and at your wall and watch it start moving. Even when you've seen somebody who looks visually stronger, right? So Freely's kind of a big deal in a small package. Unlucky for them, this increases the effect of Luck of Yandala's Opportunity Lucky Break by 1%. This applies post-stack. That's the Opportunity is the damage debuff. It's the damage debuff. Specializations, again, it's Trust in Law, Value, Neutrality, or Always Expect Chaos. This is how you spread Luck of Yandala. So this is on the lawful, neutral, chaotic axis. Lawful, chaotic axis. The neutral really only refers to that version. So if it says neutral good, neutral evil, or neutral, then they would qualify for neutrality. But if it says lawful neutral, it's not that kind of neutral. You would then choose lawful, right? So you choose this based off the kind of how your formation setup is, like what champions are doing what, who, are they multi-attackers, are they AoE, you want to know who, you want to pay attention to who is going to be spreading Luck of Yandala, not just necessarily who has the biggest number. People have been asking for a little number on this, and I keep saying we need a name list. I don't know what's going to happen, because just number could be a trap. You could have like 6 of one or let's say you could have 4 of one and 3 of another. This is a more realistic example. 4 of one and 3 of another, but the 4 could all be single attackers and the 3 could be multi-attackers, in which case the 3 is actually the better option, but if you just pick the higher number, you're out of luck. So there is some stuff you got to know about Freely. It isn't just count them up and choose. You have to make a conscious decision. I'm just going to go chaos just because. All the way up. There we go. All right. And it is important to mention there is a form of kind of gameplay, more mid-game to high-end, called Click Debuff. Freely is a part of this because they are a debuffer, and it is very important then what spec you choose, because sometimes you add people in just to be what we call spreaders, debuff spreaders for Freely, because if you put in an AoE champion that qualifies for Luck of Yondala, when 100 enemies are sitting near your formation, that AoE attack puts that debuff on everyone. So it is important to know, to really pay attention who's getting the Luck of Yondala. All right, cutting words. I'll be honest, I forget about cutting words all the time. This increases overwhelm point by 5 of tanking champions that are under attack and within 3 slots of Freely. So this is a formation placement queue. You want Freely within 3 slots of your tanks, because he's going to up their overwhelm point. This is a positional formation ability, which means shenaniganry can happen with people like Archon or Artemis. Well, it's Archon only. It's Archon only, or because Artemis isn't a tank. So Archon can actually usurp this 5 off of another tank in a multi-tank frontline, and throw their overwhelm through the roof. So it's rather interesting interaction, but it's really just for Archon. And that's going to be it. Ultimate, I will not deafen. Freely grabs his sword, smashes into his opponent for massive damage, so it's a single target ultimate. But it also applies or refreshes all 4 lucky breaks on that enemy if it survives. So it's just a way to apply all the sacks on someone. Good for bosses, just to make sure you're getting everything. Item-wise, damage all champions, but then we go straight into buffing all of his abilities. We get Requisition Lucky Break. So this is the gold find item. We get Unlucky for Them, Lucky Break. That's the debuff. We get Adventurous Tale, so this boosts your favor. We get ultimate attack damage and ultimate cooldown item. Damage all champions feats. We get a bunch of gold find feats. It's 2 separate sets. There's just straight up gold find, and then there's the requisition. It is, you boost, in this case, you would want to, even though they're bigger, I mean, even if they were the same size as this, the percentage wise is, you would go with the ones that's the lucky break, because remember, it stacks multiplicatively. And then Adventurous Tale, which reminds me, I just did a deep run, so I have Adventurous Tale in from the end. Adventurous Tale boosts, so the favor boosts, and Unlucky for Them, the debuff. So this is what I run. I usually run, I run the debuffs and the gold, so I'm getting the best of both. I'm getting all of his multiplicatively stacking feats. And then when I go to end my adventure, I swap in the Adventurous Tale. If I do a huge Azaka farm, I swap in my Adventurous Tale feats to get the most bonus out of it. And then I just have to remember to swap it back out afterwards, which I just did right there because I'd forgotten. Because I'd forgotten. All right, up next, we are talking a Birdsong. Birdsong's been around for a while, folks, and has had a rework and is now getting another rework. They had a minor rework before. They're going to get a minor rework again. Birdsong's a Tabaxi Bard, lawful neutral, DPS support. So it can either DPS or it can be a support. They're a pretty fast attacker. pretty fast attacker, just base. So that's nice. Flashing blades. Birdsong leaps out with a cat's grace and attacks the nearest enemies with her sword. Now, Birdsong is going to get a more substantial rework, so I'm not gonna go too deep into Birdsong. In fact, because I'm pretty sure Birdsong's changing almost completely. We'll see. I did not say they're updating freely. I said they were updating Spurt. Birdsong and Barrowin are the other two that are getting updated. So we're not going to talk fully about Birdsong. Here's what's going to happen with Birdsong. They're going to synergize with lawful champions, unaffiliated champions, female champions, and bard champions. So they're kind of getting a niche in this ability. Their main ability is going to be Song of Battle. Right now, that increases damage of champions within 2 slots of Birdsong. That might, it looks like that's going to continue to do that. They're going to get something called Chorus of the Lost, which increases Song of Battle based off positional formation abilities from unaffiliated champions that are affecting her. So lots of layers to that. I'm not sure how I feel about that. We'll see on Wednesday. Crescendo will increase Song of Battle whenever a champion affected by Song of Battle destroys an enemy. So kills an enemy, I think is what they mean to say. And then impressive blade work we see right here gives Birdsong an extra attack. But that extra attack is going to be about only against boss enemies now, I guess. For specializations, you're going to be able to buff Song of Battle for either good champions, neutral champions, or evil champions. So they're going for that axis thing, the good evil axis. And then you can choose groups that Birdsong automatically crescendos when you enter a new area, and that's going to be lawful female or bard champions. So Birdsong going to be getting a bunch of changes. It's hard to know if any of these other abilities are going to remain or not. They didn't really mention them. Birdsong's current ultimate is a multi-attack where she jumps around. Jumps up to get down. We only had one enemy on the screen, but she would bounce around a few times. Up to 5 currently. And then she attacks faster afterwards. Is how that usually works. Yeah, 50% faster. So now she's got a super attack speed. Hopefully we will see Birdsong getting... Birdsong's been pretty solid for like Artemis formations again because Song of Battle is a positional formation ability that goes within 2 slots. I know some people were using her as a DPS with the Heroes of the Plains. Hopefully this brings her into an even better place overall. I don't know how items are going to change. Yeah. I have no idea. Won't really know until Wednesday. So yeah, hopefully we see some new feats because she doesn't have a lot of feats. Let's see the champ list for lawful female bard. No, lawful female or bard, not and. You can choose lawful champions, you can choose female champions, or you can choose bard champions. If I said that too quickly last time, I apologize. Let me go ahead and throw... Barrowin is the last champion. Barrowin, the dwarf! Barrowin has always been a heavily armored dwarf with a huge warhammer. And if you know me, you know that's my jam. Barrowin has... a storied past, I guess we'll put it in Idle Champions. Once upon a time, Barrowin got released and was broken. Was brokenly OP. And people did very wild things with the damage that could be created with Barrowin. It was a real manual thing that I too much work for me at the time. But you could basically buff your DPS with Barrowin infinitely. if you worked at it and go all the way. I'll go all the way in Idle Champions. That got changed real quick. Since then, Barrowin has been a healing support champion, despite being super heavily armored, not a tank. But got a rework with the shielding, healing, and tanking update to become what they refer to as a bruiser. The bruiser, which is why you'll see 20 overwhelm here. Barrowin starts out at 5, but then has an ability that bumps it up all to 20. So it's high overwhelm, okay health, not great. Doesn't just okay base health. Doesn't get health during upgrades currently. However, but is what's called a bruiser because she can exist in the front line. With the rework, though, Barrowin's becoming a tank. I'm so happy. We're finally getting a Dwarven tank. She's going to get the tanking role. Her abilities are going to switch around. Blessed Hammer, which is kind of the buff, increases the it will become will increase the damage of champions behind her, based off attack cooldowns, base attack speeds, which is kind of similar to the way Blessed Hammer works now, but it's going to be champions behind her. Lawful Vigilance is going to be a new thing. Apparently, it increases her health based on the number of lawful or dwarf champions in the formation. I'm here for that. Give me an all dwarf formation soon, please. Healing Word sticks around, allows her to heal champions in her column, so she'll help keep the tank line alive. Even Temper. Did we have an Even Temper? I can't remember. Yes. Even Temper is now going to be makes her attack faster for each champion that is counted in Lawful Vigilance. So all the lawful or dwarf champions, the number of lawful or dwarf champions in the formation will speed up her attack speed. And because her attack speed is part of how she buffs, that's going to be a nice little synergy. Hammer time. Get your hammer pants out. Will increase Blessed Hammer based on the maximum number of enemies she's had attacking her at once in this area. So they're doing this thing with maximum numbers now instead of constantly varying numbers, which is nice. We saw that change on Shandy. That was a great quality of life change on Shandy that made Shandy really strong. So Barrowin's getting a similar tanking buff. But just for in that area, and then it resets when you go to the next area. Her specializations will be changing to buff Blessed Hammer by a fixed amount, buff Healing Word, or Blessed Hammer based on the number of champions counted in Lawful Vigilance. So, yeah. So there's going to be some nice tankingness going on with Barrowin. That's now a word. Being the Dwarf Cleric tank now for Idle Champions. I am super excited. I can't wait. Again, we can't really go over. I don't know how much is going to translate from the current situation to the new one, but we will find out. She's probably getting the biggest rework. Her and Birdsong are getting the major reworks, but changing Barrowin completely and turning them into a new role is going to be a big deal for the game. We will finally have a Dwarven tank. It still shocks me that it's not tutorial dwarf with the shield, but I'll take what I can get. All right, folks. It looks like we have about a half a dozen questions. We're going to go ahead and hit the musical interlude. We'll come back, and we're going to have like a full hour of questions. So if you've got questions about these 5 champions or anything in the game, drop them into chat with question : in front. And ModPod number 5 will grab them and put them in the document. I will be back. This song that we're going to be listening to, I mean, come on, folks. You can't put Spurt in a show and not have me play Short Life, Big Heart. It's just too good. Enjoy.
I just turned 11. 11 days old. But that's an ancient dragon to a kobold. Got my brother by my side. He was eaten by slime. And everywhere I go, it's just along for the ride. Walking through the underdark. A hammer hit me very hard. Short knife, big heart. We never made it very far. Brothers walking hand in slime on that final march. Short life, big heart. Ask me 3 more questions, tell you what I can. Lived a long life for a kobold, not too long for man. You can ask me about Pepe, you can ask me about my friends. I can show you how to use my stick with stingy on the end. Before the hammer hit my head, I cried out, "You're dead." Short knife, big heart. We never made it very far. Brothers walking hand in slime on our final march. Short life, big heart. I'll tell you about the sandy poles I made, and the bag of wasp I threw like a grenade. Let my death inspire you, crusade as you wander on your way. Short life, big heart. Never made it very far. Brothers walking hand in slime on our final march. Short life, big heart.
And we're back. And we're back. All right, I'm going to hit up the questions. I only have like about a half a dozen, so if you have questions, start throwing them in chat, folks. Let's hit things that are somewhat on topic first. Real Bunny Beast. How many kobolds does Human count for with Spurt's pack tactics? One. Human will always count as one for everything. They talked about this after they released them. It was too game breaking to have them count as 3 kobolds. There were things that could potentially go very wrong with that. So, just the one. Max Kubert, can one champion stack multiple Luck of Yandala stacks? Of course. Every time a champion attacks, they apply if they are blessed by the Luck of Yandala. Every time they attack, they can apply a new stack, and they could apply a different one, or they can apply multiple of the same one. It's all random, and we don't get to see any of that. Again, Freely's kind of one of those invisible power champions. We don't really know we can't really see exactly what's going on. There's no real transparency, but you can see the effect at your wall. If you go from a formation without Freely and then put Freely in, you can see that there's something going on there, and it's it's based off attacking and stacking up those things. Garbles for Life. Does Hitch's Ricochet apply multiple stacks of Luck of Yondala? It's a multi-hit attack, so every hit from the attack applies a stack. Is my understanding. So again, it's not something that we visually get to see. It's something that we kind of have to go off of feel. But it is true that an AoE will apply it all to everything. So, yeah. And the last one kind of about this. Philistine, does Warduke do anything with Freely's cutting words? That's kind of a Warduke question, not a Freely question. I'm just going to be straight. Warduke does strange stuff with... Warduke does Warduke stuff. And can change around positional formation abilities. This is a positional formation ability. Warduck makes my head hurt. So I don't personally play with them. Because primarily because we don't really know what, like, first off, there's nothing that really identifies a positional formation ability in the game. Like if I come over here, you see these chevrons that are just next to an ability. There's nothing here that says, hey, this is a positional formation ability. If this was like a differently colored chevron and that meant a positional formation ability, that'd be great. Then I'd know what I'm looking at, right? For these champions like Artemis and Archon and Warduke. But it isn't, so you have to read it, and you have to read, like, you know, within 2 slots, whatever. So Freely's is you know, they have to be within 3, and they have to be under attack. How exactly Warduck inverts that? Presumably you keep the under attack part, or that's utterly pointless. So we would presume it's the within 3 slots that gets everything. It would be everything that isn't within 3 slots is presumably how it would work, because that's kind of how they coded the game. You'd have to test it. I guess I can test. Oh god. Well, I can't, because I'd have to be under attack. I can probably, can I generate an under attack? Hold on. Warduck, where you at? There we go. Yeah, Warduck changes just everything, and it's painful. I'm just gonna, I don't care. So I'm gonna hide all the cute familiars. We're gonna get everything, everybody except it is odd that so normally, yeah, normally they're at 25. I don't know if we can get them to get attacked. Because just even this combo of the 2 of them is going to clear out everything here. Yeah, it's not applying currently, so it definitely is keeping the under attack part, or else it would be showing up already. So yeah, until I get somewhere where they're being attacked, I'm not gonna know. Let me go back to the boss level. Yeah, it isn't always clear to me how the inversion is going to work, because inverting to me means something different than it does to software developers. Is something that I learned. Is something that I learned with all of this. So, okay, here we go. Cutting. Yeah, well, I didn't see. Well, they probably killed them right away. All right. Well, we're just gonna have to wait. We'll see here in a bit. Let me go back. Got in the blade. Wait, Regis and Dungeon Master? I didn't say anything about Regis today, so I'm not sure what that question's about. Thought Human and Turiel were the other 2 for next season. We're not talking about this. We're not talking about the season champions today. We're not talking about season 3. We're talking about Dungeon Masters Champions of Renown. This is a Steam exclusive giveaway pack coming March 8th. If you log in on Steam, but from March 8th to March 15th, you qualify. It's Spurt, Dungeon Master, Freely, Birdsong, and Barrowin, plus lots of stuff and a familiar. Yeah, so that's who we're talking about today. Tune in maybe next week for season 3, maybe. I don't know. T5 Cats. In Trials, are the restrictions higher in higher tiers, or is it just more levels needed? It's just more levels needed. Yeah, the restriction lists are fixed. In fact, if you go to Gaarawarr's Guide to Trials of Mount Tiamat, actually, I don't think it's named that. I think it's just Trials of Mount Tiamat 101 or something like that. But if you go to my guide about Trials, you will see a list of the potential restrictions for each day. It's just random. It's just random each day. It's just you have to go to higher levels to qualify for your bonus DPS, and Tiamat's health is total is higher. Yeah. Ragnarok. Currently being able to clear about wave 850 in all the current campaigns, but haven't focused very much on patrons. We should. Roughly how much more power in each patron available if you get all the bonuses? Ooh, that's... Ooh, I don't even know. Because we're differentiating. There's a local bonus and a global bonus. The global bonus, you can see, here's a double... Excuse me. We've got healing. This is part of the reason why it's hard to say, because some of these are slightly ambiguous. Here's just specifically for neutral champions. Are you using that? I don't know. Here's more. Here's 250 more damage for all champions. There's gold, silver chests, based off gold finding the formation. Here's straight up damage again. It's not super straightforward, right? And the global bonuses are the smaller bonuses, but there's still multipliers in the chain, right? This game is all about getting multipliers in a chain. These are all adding extra multipliers, and they're all separate. So this 250% is separate from this 250% is separate from this 100%, right? So they're all stacking, which is nice. But keep in mind, the local bonuses are big. So the local bonuses, you can get, like here's beast enemies taking a ton more. Here's increased damage of it champions by 2,000, 1,500 for males, 2,000 if you're underground. Like, local is good. It's going to help you complete more of those patron variants for that specific patron. It's the global bonus you take with you everywhere. So getting all of them is good, but it's going to change. Like, I don't even have all of them yet, because they just added more tiers to the end. But getting all of them stacks up more multipliers in the chain. It's kind of the way this game works. If you want all the power, you got to go get it. Ultimately, I mean, 850 is solid, but if you qualify for all your patrons, you'd probably be, and you had perks for them, you might be over 1,000. It's hard to say. It depends on it's going to be formation dependent, right? With some of those buffs. Yeah. There's also, there's more power in your Modron cores. You didn't mention that. Like, there's, wherever you can get power, you want to get your power. The nice thing about the perks is you can get a ton of them just by doing a handful of the larger variants that you qualify. You don't want to start with the small stuff and grind out the small, easy variants. You start with the hardest variant you can complete, and then throw down a bunch of perks, and then go to a harder variant and do it again. Anthalon, wouldn't Freely need to be not within 3 of Warduck? Well, I don't know. That's what we were trying to test out, but I can't tell until I get attacked by something. And getting attacked by something has been the difficult thing here. I have to know first. If it's like, do I need to be within or without? I don't know. Well, I guess I can put him all the way in the back, but until I get attacked by something, I don't really know. Is it now going to show? Oh, there we go. It is showing it. It's just not activating it. So there's our answer. Cutting words inverted is anything that's not within 3 slots of Freely. There you go. Okay, now I can get War Duck out of my formation. Oh, thank God. I don't like War Duke. I just don't like dealing with War Duke. There we go. There's my brain. Okay. This is the thing. I don't use War Duke, so I'm not necessarily the person to ask that question to. Running out of questions. Super Collins, how'd you come up with your name Gaarawarr? Gaarawarr is a Shurawuk name. That's a Wookiee, for those of you who don't know Star Wars stuff. And it came out of the Shurawuk name generator in the Star Wars galaxies a long, long time ago. A long, long time ago. But now I use that name for my dwarf character, Gaarawarr Grudgekeeper. Yeah. Let's see, what do we got coming in chat? Does anyone know if Spurt's spirit form buff will become constant now? Not that I know of. It doesn't say that in the blog, so I don't think so. I think he's keeping his functionality. It's just Waspiration looks to be where the big change is. That was from Legend Maker. But they pretty much, I mean, everything except for the details are in the blog. So, folks, if you want the season 3 blog post, there it is. So they put a bunch of information about kind of an overview of what the changes are looking like. It's just they don't go into necessarily numbers. They don't necessarily tell us how Waspiration is going to change, which is unfortunate because they didn't even really tell us what Waspiration did in the first place. Not here. You have to go over here. Waspiration has stuff like skunk stacks, which is kind of like a Strix's debuff as they approach the party. There was base attack cooldown reduction. Their melee attacks deal more damage. Spurt was more melee focused, which is odd for a ranged champion, but you know, whatever. So we won't know until they show up. Lord Javax, whose achievement is getting the legacy treatment for season 3. I believe they said Birdsong. Birdsong's achievement won't work the same. Like, Birdsong won't work in a way that makes the achievement last, is my understanding. I think Birdsong's getting one of those things where it's now the highest number of stacks that you've had in a situation, whereas before you had to keep doing certain things to keep the this one buff active, but now it's just going to be active all the time, so they'll have to change that. So you can go, if you want to get, if you don't have Birdsong's achievement, you know, and you have Birdsong, get the achievement, and then you'll get, I guess you can just say, hey, I've got a legacy achievement, which doesn't do anything. Legacy achievements, they have their own category. There's no bonuses. They just kind of exist. This one's broken. It's there's a banner here, but there's no bonus. They're just legacy. They need to have, yeah, these need to have the legacy thing put on them. So they'll count towards the total number of achievements you've completed in your Idle Champion's career, but it's not doesn't actually affect your percent bonuses. Yeah, Legend Maker. Basically, they didn't talk about anything that effectively is going to stay the same. They're only talking about things that are changing. Wicked One, what are your thoughts about Solok now that we've had some time? I mean, the same thing when I reviewed them before. I haven't had an opportunity to really use them in a high-end pushing formation. I need to do some of the newer variants, patron variants, and really try to test them out in that. But then you have to have them in the right one. I have not. I'll be honest. I have not been motivated to do patron variants lately. So, and I need to do trials. Mount Tiamat. I've been sitting completed for a while and haven't hopped into a new one. So yeah. Those would be the places that I would be able to get a good look at Solok. Overall, my Solok came out pretty solid. Hold on, where's Solok? Average item level 258. So they're pretty beefy. I just need to get them into a party where I'm using like a Zorbu or Catti-Brie DPS. And compare that to someone that I normally use for DPS, like Jaheira, and see, like, are they boosting that range DPS group now more than I would have had otherwise. But I think they have a nice niche with ranged groups. I just have to get into a ranged group that I need to push with. Sudden kill for the event on the 8th is for Steam. Well, will the consoles get anything? So there are lots of things happening on the 8th. Dungeon Masters Champions of Renown is Steam only. That's why I said Steam only exclusive. So that has nothing to do with other platforms. This was just a good topic for us to cover, since it's going to be something that potentially a bunch of new players are coming in. These type of things usually draw new players to the game when they do giveaways like this. So this is a good way to explain some of the champions, at least take an early look at them, and we'll cover them again in the future next weekend after they get changed for season 3. But there is a lot going on March 8th. Season 3 is starting, so that's there's a lot of stuff going on there. That's for everyone. I believe there's some other kind of content drop that day, because that's a Wednesday after an event ends, so that's usually content drop. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be other stuff that is happening for everyone. It's just when they do these giveaways, they're platform exclusive. Primarily because the platforms are like, hey, do you want to do something? And other platforms are like, no, we don't do that. Some platforms don't let you do giveaways, just straight up. They're like, no, why would we let you give away things that could make us money? Some platforms don't really get it. Ragnarok, or Time Gate's the only way to get gear for Kron now. No. If you're talking about epics, I mean, you can get gear for every champion up through blue out of Electrum chests. But if you're talking specifically about epics, you get epics for Kron, not just from Time Gates, but also from patron chests for the patron Kron qualifies for. That's kind of that's the whole point of having patron chests in the shop is once you get full epic on your core and evergreen champions, start popping these like Tic Tacs and epic out all your champions. These aren't a one per week, or there's no limit on this per week. So you store up your currency, you pop your Time Gate and your Modron chest every week, you store up a bunch of currency, and when you go to start epicing out those champions, you can do it with patron chests, along with Time Gates. Maxi Qbert, any idea on how to do Nimble Approach with Zerial? I don't even know if I've done Nimble Approach. I don't even know where Nimble Approach is. Is that over here? Is it somewhere else? I don't know. Is it Wild Beyond the Witchlight? I don't know what Nimble Approach. Oh, here we go. I don't think I've done this with a patron yet. I don't even know. Yeah, if it's newer to the game, I probably haven't even attempted it. We've been doing other things on my stream. In fact, we just started a new player account, so I haven't been doing the patron variants. Focused on patron variants as much. So yeah, I have no idea. I mean, here's how I go about doing patron variants. I hop into the variant, I go through my bench, I see who's available, I throw in what I think is going to work, and then I throw in some speed potions, and then I go as far as I can. And if it doesn't work, I start just playing with formations until I get something that pushes as far as possible. If it works, great. If it doesn't, I make notes about in a document, like in a notepad document, about what I think I need to complete it and what area I reached. And then I come back to it later when I have more power. But yeah, I have no idea. Well, Spain. Wait, I'm sorry, I missed something. Was that about weekly time gates? Oh, I didn't say anything about weekly time gates. I was talking about the patron shop. You get your weekly time gate piece. Every patron sells you one time gate piece each week. I said the first thing you want to do each week when the shop resets is buy your time gate piece, buy your Modron chest, and you store up your currency so later on you can buy tons of patron chests to epic out your champions. Your event champions specifically. Again, you want to make sure your core and evergreen are full epic first, because you don't want to waste an epic from a patron chest on a core or evergreen champion. Just a little efficiency tip there. Ragnarok, what would be the most efficient way to complete all the weekly patron challenges? Ooh, it depends each week. Do you use automation? I do, yes. Preset formations per week? Yeah. So here's what I can. All of these change every week, as you'll know. I've done no MERT. I've done no MERT. Frankly, I don't care. I have so much. Did you see how much currency I have? Shop there. I have 3.91 million MERT currency. That's the EO6 is the million number, folks. And I have nothing to spend it on. I buy a Modron component chest each week from patrons. That's it. So I don't necessarily focus on these. However, I do have mainly because MERT requires me to automate my primary party, because we don't have 4 background parties yet. I wish we did. I would assign one to each patron. So I have one background party assigned to Vajra. I have one assigned to Strahd. I have one assigned to Zerial. And what I do is I let them do their automation thing. I just run it to 50 and reset with the groups that qualify for whatever the... Either a group that qualifies for something, like there was one that needed Finn as your bud setter, and a Nahara as your bud setter, and then this is just this. I already finished it, so this is just generically killing stuff, and I let that happen in the background. And what I do is I'll set up my saved formations for whatever it's asking for. Like I have one that's an Ashara formation. It's just literally just Ashara and a tank. Probably. So the minimum amount of champions I have to run to do to get a Shara setting bud. Again, it says 125 areas, so I can just cycle it to 50 and let it run in the background. I have a formation that's Makos, Cadibri, Artemis, plus a tank. That's the thing. You always want a tank with any of these. So I have a tank that I don't use for anything else, generally speaking, plus a Shara. I have a tank plus these 3. And I'll set those formations up for these. A tank plus Nahara, Jarlaxle, Tyrell, and Hitch. Tyrell is the tank, so that works for that. I just didn't even cycle to that this week. So let's go over to Strahd, and I can cycle it. So maybe it'll get done before tomorrow. I don't know. Or Monday, I should say. So this is what currently this is the background group of Lazaps and Nahara that's trying to get this stuff done. Also note that suddenly filled up. These aren't tracking very well in the background now. And I've noticed they don't update until you switch over to that party. Not always. So I want 1,000 areas. Oh, geez. With Jarlaxle, Tyrell, and Hitch. What I actually want for this is we're going to pause. What I want for this is if I were going to do this efficiently, I want Finn in that party. So I'm getting quadruple credit. I got the feat to get me quadruple credit. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to change this to just gem farm. So it's going to be Archon and Sasaspia. Those are 2 champions I don't really use that much in other places. They can now take over over here. You note I have a bunch of familiars, so I just throw 6 out and I throw 1 on and I throw 1 on each of the ultimates and stuff. Again, because I have plenty of familiars. If I didn't have so many familiars, I'd have to come up with some kind of lesser way to do this. So I'm going to come over here. Again, I need Tyrrell, Jarlaxle, and Hitch, which I probably have as a formation. Let's see. Yeah, Jarlaxle, Tyrrell, Hitch. So I'm going to select this and I'm going to load it. But then I'm going to... Yeah, here we go. But then I'm going to actually add Finn in. Pull her over. Because they just need to be in the formation. Now I'm going to get 4 times credit, so I only have to go 250 areas instead of 1,000. But I want to save this. I don't necessarily want to save it as... I'm just going to save it as special for now in slot 2. Because it's not something I want to run regularly. I only want to put Finn where I need Finn when I need Finn there. Because Finn needs to be able to bounce around. So this can now cycle in the background, and it will now work on getting me, like, look, you see I've already done 2 areas. That gets me 8 areas of credit. That can cycle to finish now. And I can come over here and update. Let's see. Do I even need anything over here? I need humanoids. So it's a little slow going for humanoids and Mad Wizard, but it'll get there. It's fine. If I don't get it, I don't care. But you know, this would do that. Obviously, if I paid more attention to it during the week, I would have finished this group before, and then I would have moved Finn over here to help with the humanoids. Finn is a big deal for finishing stuff quickly. Finishing stuff quickly. So moving her around where you need her, making some special formations when you need that is a good idea. But sometimes I will just have 2 champions back there and I'll just let it grab whatever it gets, and I don't really care because it's running free plays the whole time. I'm at least going to get the currency from doing free plays, and that's what I spend every week anyway, so I end up, as a wash. But yeah, I'm not as... So there are efficient ways to do it. It usually revolves around setting preset formations and then just toggling back and forth between the background party and your current party. All of those cores that I have going on in the background, they're literally only set to automate. So I don't have any power in them because I'm only going to level 50. It doesn't matter to me if they have any bonuses going at all. Yeah. So you can do it with just the most basic of cores via automation. You just have to adjust. And since I'm only using 2 champions, it's kind of a minimal way that you can do things without a lot of familiars. I just happen to throw them back there just because they're not doing anything else. They might as well get a workout. Vergadane, do familiars in clicking positions do DPS in the background? If you level up click damage, if you level up the click damage over here, so if you have a familiar on this, it can. The simulation is just going to take whatever's doing the most damage. Probably, depending on how far you're going, that's probably going to be your champions if you're leveling them up. But if you're not, you should be, obviously, but if for some reason you weren't leveling up in the background, the familiars might take over doing damage. I have 6 back there specifically for distractions, to hopefully farm distractions in the background parties. That's it. They're not... I think I did put click damage on one of them just for whatever. I don't know. I have a lot of favor, so they could out damage some things if there were issues. But you don't have to. If you have a limited number of familiars, what you want to do is make sure that your familiars are on your champions. I used to put 1 on the field and then 1 on each champion, and the 1 on the field just existed for a weird edge case where maybe you need to, if you don't have a slot 1 that's loading in, which if you'll notice, I tried, like, here's Saspia's slot 1 loading in, and Voronika was in the other one. That's because that's the default, and it ensures that you have a champion in that's auto-attacking something. So those are my default gem farms, or slot 1s with a tank. But if I'm not using a slot 1, I make sure that I have at least one on the field, just to ensure that when it loads that formation in, there's something out there that's going to kill the enemy that comes on the screen to get me money to bring the other champions in, right? Yeah. Legend Maker, I've noticed in past shows that your background parties are often set to Cursed Farmer. It varies. You also mentioned Mad Wizard is the most efficient. Yeah. Well, see, here's the thing with Mad Wizard for patron challenges. Mad Wizard gets you every type of kill count type of enemy that you need except for undead. So I just kind of... There may be something out there now. There's probably something out there now that has them all, and I should change. But I've always just done Mad Wizard as the default, and if they need undead, then I go somewhere that needs undead. Vecna Lives has undead. Terror in the Dark has undead. You can stay in the Sword Coast and get undead now if you want. But yeah, so I tend to just run them there, and then I'll switch to something with undead for the undead stuff. I think I was doing Cursed Farmer in the background because technically it's potentially a little faster because you don't have those hit-based enemies. You don't have those hit-based barricades to deal with in Cursed Farmer. Yeah. A cycle Mad Wizard with reset on 30 before the tanky boss. People say it's best to do 130 or 180. Well, see, the thing with it, the numbers for Mad Wizard are if it's in your active party. If it's in your active party, you do resets at 30, but at variance of 30. So 30, 80, 130, 180. And you choose the distance based off how far you can instantly click kill. If you can instantly click kill only to 165, you would set your reset at 130 in an active formation. In the background, it doesn't matter because you're not speedrunning it. So if you want to set it to 30, that's a 30. I don't care. I have mine set to 50. As you can see, it clocks through and does a lot of stuff for me without me having to do anything at all. So, yeah. So it just depends on active versus passive party, if you want to look at a background party as a passive party, in my opinion. Yeah, you can go to... I used to go to Tomb of the Nine Gods for Undead, and then Vecna Lives arrived, and now I just go to Vecna Lives. I guess I can... We have demonstrated I can put speed core back in. I raid Ape Leader. What kind of end game is there? It looks like you're pretty deep. Just started playing recently. I've been playing since the game came out. The game's been out about 5.5 years now. In fact, probably we're coming up on 5.5 years. So it's grown a lot since then. The end game constantly shifts because they're constantly adding more things that then become end game. Part of what is seen as the mid to end game right now is Trials of Mount Tiamat. Think of it like a raid where there are 10 different tiers of difficulty, starting out with normal and going up. The rewards go up as you go up slightly. They go up slightly as you go up. And the health of what you're killing goes up. It starts at 4E08, goes all the way up to 1.6E10. You go in with a team of 5 asynchronously, which means you're all doing your things separately. And you're trying to complete goals, pushing deep, getting certain amounts of DPS to try to take down the big bad boss and earn rewards. The rewards are things that you get to turn into legendary gear. That's the orange border on the outside. So all of my champions are legendary now, which is just a milestone I wanted to hit. But legendary items level up from level 1 legendary effect. Legendary adds a secondary effect to items all the way up to level 20, doubling each time in power. So there's a lot of power to be gained through that portion of the end game, but it's a long-term thing. There are also patrons. Patrons are these legendary figures who give you bonuses to pushing power, but they also have stuff that you can buy for doing their tasks. They help you gear out your champions. They do all kinds of things. But you get their power by doing harder versions of the adventures and of the variants that are in the game. So like these are the variants. These things that have the difficulty ratings. So normally this is like complete 75, but for the different each patron as you go down the list, like the first one makes it go a little. You have to get a little higher level, but you're also restricted on the champions that you can use. The next one higher level, the next one higher level, the next one higher level. So now, like I think up here, it's either here or Witchlight now. I think it's Witchlight. I think these for patrons. Like this one, the normal goal is 950, but I think one of the patron versions is like 1125. So 1,125. You got to go real far with a lot of restrictions, and it's real rough. But that's kind of the end game, is completing these kind of challenges at a much higher difficulty than you normally would. Yeah, and then as a reward, you get more influence, which gives you more power. Like I'm buying my way through this. I need to do some of those higher ones that I haven't yet, but I'm buying my way through these with influence that I earned from doing those hard versions, right? And that just gets you more power, and then you can complete more stuff, and yeah. But right now, the current kind of you're using that power to complete trials at the highest level, Exalted Legend. You only get 7 days to beat this as a group, so it's constantly just ticking off damage over time. And everybody but you have to play like at least once each day to try to reach your goal each day to contribute more damage. That's kind of that's the current big end game content. But ultimately it's about completing, working your way through all of the campaigns, completing all the stuff. Yeah, this is the trials. This is Trials of Tiamat. Yep. Ragnarok, I did my first solo trial, or my first trial solo, yeah. I got 200 bonus DPS from the damage I did with 1 D push. Is that enough to solo harder difficulties? I'm not sure anymore. You might be able to do the next one. Again, that's 1 deep push, like that's your first day. You've got to complete each day. You want to be able to complete each day and get all the bonuses from each day with all those restrictions. Yeah, I don't know. Doing solo stuff is you're choosing to do hard mode for trials. You're just taking it upon yourself to do it the hard way. So you should be able to. You should be able to do at least the next one, but the key is then you're taking the scales you're getting and you're turning them into legendary items. That's going to give you more power for the champions that you're using, and let you do more damage and push further. So it really depends on how you're placing your legendaries, as to how far you'll be able to push solo. I don't know that you'll be able to complete all of the tiers solo currently, like in normal gameplay. Seems like it's meant to be done with a group. RC Pete, is there a way to tell which level Tiamat you can play at your champion levels? No. You just have to try it. You just have to try it. So the thing with this is you're going to start. You'll only be able to do this. This will be locked to you until you complete this. So if you complete normal, then you'll be able to attempt to do heroic. Try it out. It's like, as with everything in this game, you have to try and fail or try and succeed to know if you can do it or not. Because of the random nature of the restrictions that you get each day, because each day, you start day 1 with a restriction, but then day 2, hey, there's another added restriction, and then they just pile up restrictions, and, you might get restricted out of completing further days, and that's why you do it with a group, and you hope that enough people in the group can complete everything so that you can make it all the way through. But as you're able to complete a level, you can move up to the next level. So I have completed all the levels at least once. I think we only did Exalted Legend. I think we only did these 2 once, just to say we did them and get the achievements. And then I think we were farming somewhere. We had been farming Torment. I think we could probably do these, but then we're I don't know, messing around at the moment. We'll see what happens. I'd been in a pre-made, but I did do I hopped into Shevik. Shout out to Shevik from chat. Hopped into Shevik's open lobby. Bunch of people piled in, and we absolutely destroyed the level we were on. So that was nice. So you could definitely public group stuff and finish. You don't have to private group it all the way. But you just kind of have to try and see what happens. There's definitely, like, I have the health totals. I have and in my guide to trials, there's the breakdowns of like what areas you have to get to each time. You can definitely look and see, based off your run on your current one, you do the deepest push you can. Maybe you do a couple if you didn't soft cap on your first run, and see how far you can go. Use that as a guideline. You're going to learn kind of, I build out groups, like saved formations that are named with the different restrictions. And I can always try some of those and see, like, how far are they going? If I'm losing these champions with a restriction, am I still going to be able to get this far? You can kind of learn. But it's one of those things where you just kind of have to try it and see what happens. Any other questions, folks? We've got about 10 more minutes. If you have a question, anything at all about the game, I should specify anything at all about the game. Shout out to the mod pod number 5. Mars and Gabe have been grabbing your questions, helping out in chat. Oh, Mars is going to ask me a question now. Here, while we're waiting, I want to point out, have they added them yet? No, they have not. So I pointed this out to the devs, and at some point they're going to add it. Terror in the Dark and Unearth the Evil are 2 of the earliest adventures in the game, and they still only have 2 variants. At some point, the 3rd variants apparently got made, but never got turned on. So at some point, these will arrive. I don't know when. I think they were checking to make sure, because they were marked off as done and ready to go in the game, and then they just forgot. Years ago. Years ago. I can't wait to see what the 3rd variants are for Terror in the Dark and Unearthed Evil. Yeah. All right, let's see what Mars is. This question from Mars, who says, new player here. Who is the best champion? Oh, jeez, Mars. Mars is just trying to get people to fight. Mars is trying to start a fight in chat. God. I can't answer that question. I can tell you, my current favorite champion, just because of lore, canon, story, and how they've arrived in Idle Champions, is Mehen. Mehen, the adopted father of Havilar and Farida, the Brimstone Angels. If you haven't read the Brimstone Angels series by Aaron M. Evans, you should. It's fantastic. Mehen is great. Previously, though, it was the Black Viper. Now, both of these decisions are not based off in-game functionality at all. They are just... what characters do I like lore-wise? I know it's shocking that neither of them are dwarves, but it is what it is. They're just wonderful characters. The Spawn Angel, does shiny or golden status transfer if the item gets upgraded to higher rarity? Yeah, because shiny, the gilding, we kind of refer to this in the community as gilding. The gilding is a wrapper that goes around the entire item slot itself. So you can see this gold line that's going around the item slot. And it makes everything in that slot golden. So if it was a shiny, you can literally get a shiny white card. Like the very first item you get for something can be a level 1 white shiny. It's a thing. I've seen it. People have posted screenshots. It's their very first item drop. For a champion. It's just random. It's RNG. And then that item slot stays shiny as they upgrade the rarity of their item. And in fact, even once you get, if you'll note, there's no legendary here. That's because legendary is a separate, it is considered a rarity, but it is a separate function. It doesn't upgrade the base effect of the item. It adds an additional effect. So what actually happens when you legendary an epic item is it is an epic legendary item. It has both its epic effect and its legendary effect, and it can be gilded. So it can be a golden epic legendary mini notched axe. Right? And the base item levels are also separate. So if you get item level 20 on a white, when you get the green, you'll have over item level 20 because that's considered a duplicate. So it'll be level 20 something. So item levels maintain, gilding maintains. It's just the highest rarity gets used. Maxi Qbert. What's your opinion on Rogue One? I liked it. Actually, I don't have a Star Wars tattoo yet, but my Star Wars tattoo will be the line that was cut from that movie. With some art. I already know exactly what I want it to be. I just got to find an artist / tattooist who can make it look the way I want. But yeah. Spatial Ballet. If you'd have to be an existing champion in the game, which one would it be? Oh, if I had to be one champion in the game, Brunor. Tutorial Dwarf. That fits me. Yeah. Yeah. If I had to be one of the champions in the game, Brunor. In fact, at one point, I have reference photos, reference images. At one point, I was thinking about doing a Brunor Battlehammer cosplay. I have all kinds of ideas about cosplays I want to do, but I have no talent to make cosplays, so it never happens. Legend Maker, do you think CNA will start adding more slot 4 champions anytime soon? It's just random. Well, it's not random. There's a reasoning to what's going on. Yeah, it already has fewer than most seats even before Jaheira moved, but now it has up to 2 less. But all recent champions have been for other seats. Look, there's a lot that goes into deciding where a champion ends up. So, I mean, in an event, what they look at, one of the things they look at is, or when a champion comes in an event, like, is there another champion from that affiliation in that slot? There's one thing that they check. Then they also look at, is there someone in that event currently available in that event that is in that slot? If it's a yes to either of those, they're not going to put it in that slot. Then they also look at, was there a champion that just showed up in the event before this in this slot? And then they also look at, is there a champion in the event that comes right after this that's in this slot? Because they don't want to give you a champion for slot, and then the next event give you a different one. Or, that's not a thing they would like to do. And And then they also look at, well, what kind of champions do we have in that slot? Are we kind of overloading that slot with that type of champion? And so then they won't put it there. There's a lot that goes on. So they probably have champions that they know are going to be coming to this slot in the future because they've got a roadmap, but we don't know what it is, and I would have no way to tell you that. Will they add more to the slot 4? Absolutely. Is it anytime soon? I don't know. Mighty John, in the event, should you free plays or just one of the champions and level them up as much as you can? That's kind of the same thing. I'm not sure what you're asking. Try to get as many chests for all 3 of them and do free plays in rotation. I don't have automation yet. So generally as a new player, I recommend, you unlock each of the champions, farm a bunch of free plays to get your favor up high enough so that all the variants show as green so that they're easy to do. Then go through and do the variants, all the variants. Once you have that done, and you go back to doing free plays. And I like to spread my tokens amongst all the champions so that they are functional champions. Occasionally a champion will come along where it's like, get everybody up to all blue, but then dump onto this one. But that isn't the case in this situation. I don't feel like. So yeah, I do the rotation thing. In fact, I'm doing it right now on, I just started a brand new account on Epic on Wednesday. I'm already up to 21 champions because there's a lot of stuff out there that's available right now that allows you to get champions quickly. But I'm doing the event and I'm rotating, like I'm doing, what I've actually decided is I'm doing, I did Desmond's. I'm doing free plays in Desmond's formation for favor because it's a good formation for pushing deep in. But the second I get, and I've gotten 2 silver chests for Desmond, the second I get a gold for Desmond, I'm going to switch to another champion's formation and farm free plays. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to farm free plays for each champion until I get a gold and then rotate. And I'm just going to go gold chest to gold chest through them. See what that works. I'm just trying a new thing, and we'll see what happens. Lenon, do we know if there will be a legendary dismantle on Human again? I have no idea. I mean, presumably when season 3 hits, there will be dismantles for the champions that are most heavily affected, and then legendaries for maybe everyone. I don't know how they make that decision, and I didn't see an announcement for it. Shevik, I'm not answering that question again. TG Nubis, what would be a ridiculous DPS or affiliation to build around? By ridiculous, do you mean like the worst? Like the 2 kind of worst DPS in the game currently, based off my testing, are Nerds and Warden, and Nerds is probably the worst. In terms of affiliation, the affiliations that are the least, that have the least number of champions in them, and that aren't going to be getting any more, are either the Waffle Crew or Sirens of the Realms. I don't think Sirens is getting more. It doesn't seem like it. Those 2 would, and honestly, the C team's a little hard to build around. One of those 3. Yeah, ridiculous is a weird word for me to define. Yeah. Last question, and then we're out of here. Ontholon, for me, Mehen raises average DPS much higher than other champs at comparable item levels. I know Bud matters, and average DPS doesn't. I'm glad you know that. But you know why I'm seeing this? Not really. I mean, yeah, not really. It could be, I mean, I don't know. Are you running Brimstone Angels? Like, I don't know. There's not enough information there for me to determine what's going on. But yeah, just know that base DPS, these numbers up here, base DPS and average DPS, are lies. They tell you in these hoverovers that they're lying to you. The only number that really matters is Bud in combination with with the area that you're able to push to. Bud and the area you can push to are the combo numbers that are important. Oh yeah, you mentioned another affiliation that's kind of weird is Dark Order. Dark Order's weird. Dark Order's weird. Yeah, there's some weird affiliations. That's going to be it for today, folks. Shout out to ModPod number 5. I just like saying that over and over again. ModPod number 5. Mars and Gabe, for the help. There's no more streams this weekend on this channel, but if you want to join me in about an hour over at my channel, twitch.tv/Gaarawarr, come hang out. We're doing Final Fantasy VI. We should see a lot of progress today because I've been leveling up Esper related stuff off stream. So some of our characters are kind of ridiculous at the moment. So we'll get some more progress in Final Fantasy VI. We're in the second half of the game. We're in the World of Ruin. It's the Pixel remaster that we're playing. And then the CNE Games streams will return on Monday with Idle Champions Presents Fury of the Black Rose. Right after the premiere of the newest episode, you can come over to my channel, though, where I call myself the unofficial after show. We'll talk a little bit about it, but we play some Idle Champions, probably focusing on that new player account I was talking about, because why not? Because it's fun. Taking a little different focus on the new player account, running some speed-focused decisions, just to see what happens if you go all in on gems early. Who knows? Maybe we break the meta, or the early game meta, I don't know. Maybe that's what what the best thing is. I don't know. We'll find out. So, join me, won't you? That's all, folks. The song we're going out with. What song are we going out with? Oh, Hero in Time for Freely. I was like, well, who's got a song? Freely does. It's Hero in Time. Bye, everybody.
Dragons knocking at the gate, my players at the door. Don't know how I got in here, but now I'm laying on the floor. Another day, another fight, lights of evil left to smile. I stand up tall and pull my sword, time for them to feel my mind. No wait, no need to plan, get ready now, let's go. It's hero in time, my power divine, from the top out the crowd. It's hero in time, this lucky gon' shine, when there's lives on the line. Always falling into trouble, really where I thought I'd be. If there's someone that's in need, it's where you find lucky freely. Always falling from the sky, fire blasting from my eyes. Gonna get there on the double, I live life as a surprise.